Guys, safety first, remember that. Holy. Boy, am I gonna tell you a story today that probably you're gonna find really interesting. So one day I walk into this office and the safety manager is all over me. Both the safety manager and the driver trainer are in my office bright and early. And they're like, did you see the footage? I'm like, what? They're like, did you see the footage? I'm like, what footage? He's like, open your email. And I connect my laptop and then, holy shit, I saw the footage. I'm like, damn. I'm like, who the hell hired this guy? And they're like, recruiting. And then I run into recruiting. I said, okay, open up this driver file. I want to see it. I look at the driver binder. I look at all the paperwork that we have on file. The references are all there. Guy passed his road test, flying colors. And then I'm like, okay, let me see this drug and alcohol test. He must be on something. Nope, the drug and alcohol test, clear, 100%. He is just fine. So I want to show you some of the footage of what was caught on our dash cam. So basically a driver reversing on an interstate highway. Like, for sakes, can you get any stupider? Drivers out there, listen, if you miss your exit, I get it, but continue to the next exit. You do not reverse on the highway. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter friggin' what your excuse is. You passed the exit, just go to the next one, come out, return back. I know it's gonna be an extra 10 or 15 minutes. I get it. But do not put other people's lives at risk. Okay, that's the last thing you want to do. Think of safety first. All right, so let's have a look at this footage. So the driver is driving on the highway. You can see it in the video over here. And then at some point, the driver misses his exit. Okay, so there are two lanes. There's the left lane and the right lane, but you can also see that the driver is driving in the construction zone. Now, as he approaches his exit, he notices that he missed his exit. Now, the driver comes to a complete stop, 30, 40 meters, okay, past his exit, all right? So, complete stop on an interstate highway in a construction zone. Sorry, for those 30, 40 meters is about 100 feet past his exit. All right, so a Jeep approaches him, passes him. Now the driver is looking left, right. He's thinking about it. He doesn't know if he should do it. He knows he's about to do something wrong. Now, before he starts reversing, he comes out of his truck. Now he wants to see how far did he pass the exit. So he's actually gonna come out of the truck. He will look how far away he is from the exit, and then somehow he came to the conclusion that it is safe to do so, okay? So he's inside his truck, turns it back on, puts it in reverse, and here you see him now reversing. About a minute into it, after he reverses, he gets onto the exit, and right away a police officer, whoop whoop, turns on his siren. Now, if I ever thought that a police officer has the right to beat the shit out of the driver, this would be a moment. Now, let's hear what the police officer had to say, okay? I actually think he was extremely calm. I think I would have been a lot more furious than this police officer, but let's hear what he had to say.
Think it's wise to back up on the main interstate?
Police officer asks him, do you think it's wise to back up on the interstate?
Really sorry, I
Because you
missed.
missed an exit?
I missed for a few meters.
So here the driver is trying to justify what he did. It's just a few meters. It's just a few meters.
Go to the next exit, you turn around, you come back. You don't stop on the interstate and then back up.
So the police officer tells him, there is a next exit. You turn around, come back, and then get your exit, even if you missed it.
You want to go to jail today?
Please, sir, don't.
You don't stop at an interstate and back up. This is what the officer is telling him. All right, so let's look at the ending of this video. The police officer comes back, gives him his ticket, and it tells him, okay, hear what he has to say.
We got videos
Please,
of this
sir.
entire work zone, and I've got a video on my dash cam. So when we go to court, I'm going to hammer you.
So officer basically says, we've got videos of this entire work zone. So the officer is letting him know that he himself has a dash cam. So when we get to court, I'm gonna hammer you. That's what the officer tells the driver. When you come to court and you try to plead not guilty, I am going to hammer you.
Please, please, sir. Please, sir. Please. I'm really sorry, sir. Please.
And then the driver is trying to say, please, 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 sir, please, 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 please. He's not having it. The police officer is not having it. He doesn't give a shit about his pleas and his pleading. I'm really sorry, sir. I'm really sorry, sir. And then the driver is all pissed off, grabs his head. Obviously, he's sweating excessively. He's wiping his head. All right, guys. So we saw the footage. We saw the police officer. Let's try to understand a little bit more what could have happened. So you need to understand that it's these moments here that get people killed. If somebody was driving on the interstate highway at 60, 65 miles an hour while a truck is reversing, this is how people die. Now, the driver, luckily for him, he only got a careless driving. I think maybe the driver should have been arrested. The driver did end up getting fired the second he got back to the terminal. We ended up dismissing him right away. This is uncalled for, okay? Now, the driver does have 4 or 5 years of experience. The driver has a clean driving record, just something switched off in his head that made him believe that it is safe to reverse on the interstate highway. There is so much right now on truck drivers. There's so many distractions, your phone. There's so many apps that you are a part of that give you notifications. There's hundreds of things to distract you guys from doing your job, and drivers are getting blamed for everything. I mean, thank God there's dash cams because it can save you from a lot of stuff. There's so many distractions out there that you need to have your A game all the time. That's all for the dash cam footage. So let's go over a little bit of the ticket that the driver received. I am disappointed a little bit in the officer with the way he wrote out this ticket. This actually does prove that the officer was not on his A game. It says here the city is Fort Saskatchewan. The driver's actually from Ontario, so he's from Fort Saskatchewan, Ontario. I don't think there's such a thing. The province is Saskatchewan, not Ontario, which means that the officer was not 100%. When the officer is not 100%, this is reasonable grounds to dismiss this ticket. Second problem that I see with this ticket, boy oh boy, now this is for sure the driver's getting away with this. So second one is that the officer ticked off citation issued as a result of involvement in a fatal motor vehicle crash. Mistake number 2, officer. The driver was not involved in a fatal motor vehicle crash, which means this ticket is going to be tossed in the garbage and the driver is going to learn absolutely nothing from it. So, how do I know so much about tickets? So, a quick story. When I started 2010, 11, and 12, I was responsible for all of ET Transport's tickets. And one of the things that I used to do is I used to represent all these drivers in court. And when I used to represent them in court, the only thing I needed to do is find one mistake on a ticket and I'd be able to get the ticket dismissed. Let alone 2 mistakes on the ticket, I wouldn't even need to go to court. I would just send an email to the Crown and the Crown would dismiss the ticket, because if the police officer can make 1 mistake on a ticket, it can mean that he can make a mistake when pulling over the driver. If he has 2 mistakes on the ticket, we know for a fact that the police officer was not on his A game. This ticket is going to the garbage. Let's talk a little bit about the driver now. What are the driver's options? So if the driver does end up with this on his driving record, most likely I would never be able to hire him again. I don't think any other company here, both in Canada and the US, would be able to hire a driver that has this on their driving record. And if you do hire a driver like this, you yourself can be personally liable, both the trucking company and whoever the owners are, for hiring a driver like this. When I first heard about this incident and I first saw the dash cam, why did I run into HR? Because I know based on our hiring criteria that we would never be allowed to hire somebody with a prior like this or with a previous tickets like this. If a fatality does happen on the road and this driver here had a prior or had 2 priors and killed somebody on the road, this is a big problem both for the company and for the directors of the company. Why? Because we might just end up being personally liable for being negligent in hiring this driver. So make sure you do a good job when you're recruiting drivers. So I really don't know the ending of the story because we dismissed this driver here from our company. So I don't know what happened to this ticket. Did it stay? Did it not stay? Did he hire a lawyer? Did he not hire a lawyer? I would hate to see a driver like this get away with what he did, because I truly believe that that should be on his driving record. You should absolutely, under no circumstances, be reversing on an interstate highway. Hope you learned something from this video. I'm Ronen and this channel is all about trucking. And if you are new to this channel, make sure you're a subscriber and hit that bell notification. So when we release out videos, you get notified. I'm Ronen, R-O-N-E-N, and I'll catch you in my next video.